Hello my fabulous humans, Makabelo Modaung here, social and dating coach, Coach KB. So this week I'm unpacking sexual guilt, and I'm very curious about this subject in particular because I'm very passionate about Black intimacy, but also the women that I coach a lot have somehow inherited a lot of negative belief, whether it's self-belief, but they've inherited a lot of negative beliefs, and I think we have all inherited it somehow about sexuality, whether we've inherited it from the sexual education we got, from the religion that we follow, from the parents that we have, or just from the surroundings that we grew up under. You know, a lot of us have sexual shame one way or another. For me, the one that I would like to focus on this week is religion. Sexual guilt caused by religion. For me, I just feel like you cannot have a religion without rules, right? So what happens is we have a lot of rules that govern how we interact with our bodies, and not just any part of our bodies. We actually don't have any rules that govern how we interact with our ear, our nose, as far as religion goes. But for some reason, we have a lot of rules when it comes to how we interact with our private parts. For me, there's as women, we have this wonderful part in our body that is completely useless. Its purpose in life is to just give us pleasure and nothing else. The clitoris, it's not built for anything else other than to give us pleasure. If we had to lose it tomorrow, we'll still continue with life. But here's the thing. So we think God, who created everything else for a reason and purpose, would create a clitoris and expect us to do what with it. He purely created it, and not by mistake, for the purpose of pleasuring us. But we don't want to use it for pleasure because we think it's wrong, because of what we've inherited. For the longest time, I didn't eat cabbage, for example. And the reason why I didn't eat cabbage was because my mother hated it. She hated cabbage. She hated the sight of it. She hated the taste of it. She just didn't use it in the cooking around the house. And for me, once I started eating it as an adult and actually enjoyed it, I got curious about why is it that I actually hated this. And it actually turns out that I hated it because my mother hated it. So what I'm getting at is the fact that we inherit things that we dislike, but we actually don't dislike them. We inherit other people's belief, we inherit other people's fears, we inherit other people's ideas about life that are not solely ours. So be curious about what is it that you've inherited about sexuality or sex in general that does not belong to you. It's not your own idea, it's not your own beliefs. We, for example, believe that women who enjoy sex too much are wrong because those women are then considered sluts. But what is so wrong about a woman who enjoys her sexuality? For me, I feel like the church somehow tends to benefit tends to benefit the more structured we are as human beings. Churches are a business model, whether we like it or not. For example, a church would benefit more from a couple than it would from a single mother. A couple, there's two income, there's more discipline and more responsibility around their income. For example, they're more likely to tithe than a single parent who is struggling because they're a single parent. They do everything based on one income. Chances of me tithing as a single parent are very slim, and so the church does not benefit from me as a single parent, but it would benefit from a couple because they've got two income and they're more responsible for their, do you understand what I mean? So for me, I feel like we won't quite learn what we need to learn about sex and our sexuality from that point of view, from religion. We all carry a lot of guilt around us when it comes to sexuality. We carry it from if you've had an abortion, if you've been a mistress, if you've had a miscarriage, if you've been raped, if you've had an STD, if you've enjoyed doing DIY sex. You know, we carry that shame around us. I know that a lot of us, for example, would identify with this, where we're so horny, you know, in the spur of the moment you watch the porn and it gets you there, and as soon as you're done you're like, oh, disgusting, why was I even watching this? And you switch it off, you know, because mentally you are not laying the right foundation about what is it that you are doing. Why are you enjoying this? You don't feel like you are doing something that is okay. You are guilty about it. You immediately go and wash your hands and you feel guilty even though you enjoyed it, you know. So let's just be curious about the rules that are there to govern us. You know, the rules that are there to govern us are not necessarily for our own benefits and are not there to teach us anything else other than for those who create the rules to benefit from them, you know. So for example, let's look at the story of KB. You know, KB started masturbating at a young age, and you know, maybe her mother found her masturbating at the age of 8 years, and she was reprimanded for it. She was beaten and told, oh, you're so disgusting, how can you do that? And the impact of that is that at 34 years old, KB has never had an orgasm. KB doesn't have a relationship with her genitals. KB thinks everything about her genitals is disgusting. They look disgusting. She doesn't touch them. She does not enjoy anything that has to do with her genitals. And the impact of that is that she thinks that everyone else who interacts with her genitals thinks the same way about her genitals. So everyone else is disgusted. Everyone else is shamed for it. And here's the mistake. We never quite, as parents or as human beings, we never quite unpack why we teach our kids, for example, what we teach them about sex. KB's parent or mother could have addressed this differently. She could have said to KB, you know, adults do that. They masturbate, but they do it in private. So you need to do it more in private next time and not so much in public. Then that way, it could have changed the dynamic of how she views sexuality. You know, it could have moved her from the shame that she's carrying at the age of 34 now, you know. So our first sexual interactions define how we later on interact with sex, you know, and what identity we carry, what sexual identity we carry or identify with as ourselves. A lot of us don't have sexual identity. A lot of us are even don't even have names for our vaginas. We don't even have names for what we, I mean, if you don't have a relationship with your vagina, how is it that you expect somebody else to have a relationship with the rest of your body? And so a lot of us carry shame with us, and the shame that we carry, sadly, we carry in our body, in our wombs, you know, and the shame stays with us. You cannot have 100% healthy sexual relationship with yourself if you still carry shame in your body about your sexuality. If you still carry shame about why you've had sex, if you still carry so much shame around why you had the STD, if you still carry shame of any kind. The thing about shame is that shame loves secrecy, right? And shame keeps us separate. So shame keeps us separate even intimately. So now, because you're carrying all this shame, you're not able to open up and be intimate with your partner to the level that you can, because you're carrying shame around you. And what shame does as well is that it keeps us from having good sex, because how can you have good sex when you carry so much shame around you? So be curious about what is it that you've inherited about sex. Be curious about your beliefs in sexuality. Be curious about your beliefs in your genitals. Be curious about what is it that you believe is good sex and is bad sex, and why you feel that way and why you think that way. Sex is such a beautiful thing, and I think the more relationship we have with sex, and more in particular the more relationship we have with our genitals, the more relationship we have with life in general. So have a healthy sexual identity. Bye, I'm done for the week. I'll see you next week, and I'll actually unpack. I'm not sure what I'm unpacking next week, but I'll let you guys know. Thank you for tuning in. Signing out. Bye.